welcome once again to The View from the Midwest. It's time for another post-match edition for St. Louis FC. Well, we have Memorial Day weekend. It's pretty much come and gone. We have the one more day on that one coming up tomorrow. But the most important thing is St. Louis FC took on Rio Grande Valley, the Toros, and ended up tying by the score of 1-1. It was kind of a disappointing result overall, simply because it was one of those games. You consider the fact that St. Louis FC took on Whitecaps 2 over the midweek game and pretty much had some periods where they were the dominant team and were a little bit unfortunate not to come out the victors in that one. Well, this game, they were playing a team that was technically below them in the table, so you would think that it was a perfect opportunity to keep them in the rearview mirror, look ahead, try to build some momentum heading into the Open Cup game coming up this week, and potentially get a big victory. And instead, St. Louis FC just never seemed to really put it together in the first half. They looked a lot better in the second half, but it was still just kind of one of those performances to where I understand this is still technically early in the season, so there's a lot of fluidity going on in the table right now. But any team that is behind you is theoretically not as good as you have been so far through the year. So therefore, you should be able to pull out a better performance against them. You're not always going to get the breaks. You're not always going to get the victories. But even though they ended up tying 1-1, it just wasn't necessarily throughout the entire 90 minutes one of those kind of performances that you would expect to see from this team and expect to see in a winning type of effort. Overall, it ended up being a very entertaining game at the end of the game, and of course, as human beings, that's more what we remember, is what you've seen last. So St. Louis FC sent the fans home very happily, but overall, throughout the 90 minutes, there was a lot left to be desired. The first half, you're trying out new things. You're trying out new people. They put Jeremy Lynch back in there. They had Zuma out on the wing. They were trying out a few different things, trying to keep people fresh as well, keeping in mind that they want to go as far as they can in the U.S. Open Cup. So keeping a top lineup available this coming Wednesday to play Minnesota United is paramount, at least in the team's mind. You could argue one way or the other what's more important, the league or the cup. But if you don't think you're going to be making a push towards conference supremacy, then there's nothing wrong with putting a little more stock in the cup as well. That being said, St. Louis FC had a lot of changes going on, so you understand a little bit to where there wasn't that cohesiveness and fluidity throughout the midfield especially, but there were a lot of mistakes on the back end, and you had your normal starters in the center back positions. You had Laurie playing out on the left wing, or left back, so that was a little bit of a different look for this team, but he's been with them before. He's played a couple games now at least, and he played very well. But again, it kind of goes with that communication. Maybe people weren't necessarily talking to each other, and that led to mistakes, but there were just some odd points to where the defenders made some odd passes, odd choices, put their goalkeeper in susceptible positions. Second half, a lot of the same to begin with, and then the Toros ended up getting the first goal on a defensive miscue. I don't know if there was miscommunication or what happened, but basically there was just no closing down on the ball. A lot of just bad things kind of happened on that play, and you could kind of sense it coming, and it ended up being a 1-0 score for the Toros to start things off. But St. Louis FC, to their credit, came back. They ended up tying it up. Oh, just a fantastic 77th minute goal for Urban Herrera. Took the ball. I believe Roberts got the assist, Jordan Roberts. But, credit to him for getting the assist, but it was all Herrera, really. He took a couple dribbles to his left, basically just a little bit outside the right portion of the semicircle outside the box, curled one in to the far post from where I was sitting. Obviously, if you were over on the Luligans section, it would be the opposite. But curling it into the far post. And I mean, I knew when he hit it, I was just like, that is a hell of a shot. And if it doesn't go in, it's going to hit the post at the very least, because, I mean, it just had the perfect angle on it. There was no chance for the goalkeeper to get to that one. No chance for any defender to get to that one. It was either going to hit the woodwork or it was going to hit the back of the net. It ended up doing both, but that ends up counting nevertheless, as long as it goes past that goal line. 1-1 was your final, so 2 points dropped in a sense for St. Louis FC, but given the fact that they didn't have their best game and the fact that it was just an absolute wonder strike to tie things up, it ends up being a decent result overall. One thing that we have figured out now that I'm home is USL does not update their standings with every game. I believe they must do it kind of at the end of the night. So they came into this game with a record of 4-3-4 with 16 points. So they've obviously improved that. And they are now 5-3-4. I keep wanting to put a win in there. I don't know what's wrong with me. I apologize. So that they are 4-3-4. That is my mistake. They have 16 points as well as Rio Grande Valley. So ultimately, maybe they're 4-3-5. I believe they're 4-3-5. Don't quote me on this. I apologize. I'm going based on what I have when I make the videos. So they either have 16 points or 17 points, and I feel like it should be 17 points because I think they had that many last week or over the midweek game. And obviously, if they don't update this live, then that would be the case. So, nevertheless, St. Louis FC keeps Rio Grande Valley in the rearview mirror just a little bit, but they didn't get any kind of cushion that they would have liked. They could have also put themselves a little bit closer to Colorado Springs, who went into the weekend with 19 points, although the number of games that everybody has played right now is a little bit off. I understand that there are discrepancies, but some people have played 12, some have only played 9. OKC has only played 8. Not really sure what's going on there. Maybe the weather, as they've had some odd weather occurrences down there. But ultimately, it was a good game for St. Louis FC. You don't like to think of a league matchup as a warm-up, a tune-up, but it was good to get the legs warmed up, get things rolling, head into that Open Cup on Wednesday against Minnesota United, hopefully get a more solid team performance in that one, because if they win that one, Kansas City is coming to St. Louis. Kansas City's going to the winner of whoever comes out of that game, and obviously we all hope that it is going to be St. Louis, because what an atmosphere that will be. Make sure to get your tickets early for that one, obviously, if St. Louis FC is the victor against Minnesota United. But that'll wrap up this post-match edition. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed the match, whether you watched it on YouTube or on live, obviously. And until the next time, comment, rate, and subscribe, and I will see you then.